I'm excited to dive in today. Every morning we move through a Course in Miracles lesson. And today is lesson 47, the 47th day of the year. And honestly, it's fun to have this kind of annual daily countdown, reminding us to live with intention. And so with that, I am going to just do a quick recap of some of the preceding lessons to shine and shed a light on today's and how we arrived here. I'm going to start with lesson 30. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. Lesson 31. I am not the victim of the world I see. Lesson 32. I have invented the world I see. Lesson 33. There is another way of looking at the world. Lesson 34. I could see peace instead of this. Lesson 35, my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. Lesson 36, my holiness envelops everything I see. Lesson 37, my holiness blesses the world. Lesson 38, there is nothing my holiness cannot do. Lesson 39, my holiness is my salvation. Lesson 40, I am blessed as a son of God. Lesson 41, God goes with me wherever I go. Lesson 42, God is my strength. Vision is his gift. Lesson 43, God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. Lesson 44, God is the light in which I see. Lesson 45, God is the mind with which I think. Lesson 46, God is the love in which I forgive. And lesson 47, God is the strength in which I trust. If you are trusting in your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. What can you predict or control? What is there in you that can be counted on? What would give you the ability to be aware of all the facets of any problem and to resolve them in such a way that only good can come from it? What is there in you that gives you the recognition of the right solution and the guarantee that it will be accomplished? Of yourself, you can do none of these things. To believe that you can is to put your trust where trust is unwarranted and to justify fear, anxiety, depression, anger, and sorrow. Who can put his faith in weakness and feel safe? Yet who can put his faith in strength and feel weak? God is your safety in every circumstance. His voice speaks for himself in all the situations and in all aspects of all situations, telling you exactly what to do to call upon his strength and his protection. There is no exception except there is no exception because God has no exceptions. And the voice which speaks for him thinks as he does. Today, we will try to reach past your own weakness to the source of real strength. 4 5-minute practice periods are necessary today, and longer and more frequent ones are encouraged. Close your eyes and begin, as usual, by repeating the idea for the day. Then spend a minute or two in searching for situations in your life where you have invested in fear, dismissing each one by telling yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. Now try to slip past all concerns related to your own sense of inadequacy. It is obvious that any situation that causes you concern is associated with your feelings of inadequacy, for otherwise you would believe that you could deal with the situation successfully. It is not by trusting yourself that you will gain confidence, but the strength of God in you is successful in all things. The recognition of your own frailty is a necessary step in the correction of your errors, but it is hardly a sufficient one in giving you the confidence which you need and to which you are entitled. You must also gain an awareness that confidence in your real strength is fully justified in every respect and in all circumstances. In the latter phase of the practice period, try to reach down into your mind to a place of real safety. You will recognize that you have reached it if you feel a sense of deep peace, however briefly. Let go of all the trivial things that churn and bubble on the surface of your mind and reach down and below them to the kingdom of heaven. This is a place in you where there is perfect peace. There is a place in you where nothing is impossible. There is a place in you where the strength of God abides. During the day, repeat the idea often. Use it as your answer to any disturbance. Remember that peace is your right because you are giving your trust to the strength of God. Y'all, peace is your right. Wow. Here's what a crazy thought is that, man, anytime we're not in peace, we're not actually taking a hold of what is ours. There's something around being a child of God that it's actually our inheritance. What is ours? What's our inheritance? And what can we walk in now and choose now? And it's not for some later date. So honestly, I've been called a heretic for this. So I'm just gonna go for it. Um, this is kind of a radically different way of looking at God than a lot of people look at God. They look at God as someone that they can really come to know and experience after they die and after they've effectively lived a perfect life and done penance and um, been on their knees their whole life. And then maybe on the other side, when they go to heaven, they get to like live freely and experience the presence of God. Whereas, man, I don't just believe it, but I've experienced the presence of God here and now. And like this whole section, which I love because we've been talking about the kingdom of heaven over the last couple of days. She says, "Let all the trivial things go that churn and bubble on the surface of your mind. Reach down below them to the kingdom of heaven. There is a place in you where there is perfect peace." The kingdom of heaven, that's the gift of Christ in us, is that we get to experience the kingdom of heaven now. It's not for some later date. And y'all, that's the thing that I think has made people call me a heretic, is that the concept is that there was this massive curtain in the temple which separated God and man, and then it tore from top to bottom, seam to seam. It tore completely. And what that symbolizes is that there's no separation, is that God, the dwelling place of God, is in and with man, is with and in you and me. And we get to experience the presence of God every day. And in the presence of God is the fullness of joy. In the presence of God is peace forever. And in that place, there is such a ability to rest. It's like that's an inner rest and an inner knowing and an inner haven. When the rest of the world is crazy, when the external world is nuts, we really get to experience the peace of God in us. And that's so much of what Jesus talks about in John 15, for those of you who are Bible nerds, where he talks about, I am in you and you are in me, abide in me, and you shall know a tree by its fruit. There's all these concepts that are shared throughout the story of Jesus, and whether you believe it's literal or figurative, either way, the truth comes forth. And this is the best part of a good story, is that there's so many allegories laced within a allegory in and of itself. And so embedded in this story and in this narrative are so many truths for you and me to live today, 2,000 years later. And in us living it, we find peace, we find the fullness of joy. And the fruit of, he says, you shall know a tree by its fruit. The fruit of the presence of God is joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Those are literally the 8 fruits of when you know God is living in somebody. Last night, somebody mentioned, how do you know when a girl likes you? And we're actually going to talk about that tomorrow night. We'll see how that goes. But this question of how do you know when God lives in you? It's those 8 fruits. It's literally like a fruit of a tree. If I'm being patient, if I have self-control, and that doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect. I had to apologize to someone yesterday because I wasn't patient. And so I needed to come back around and just be like, look, I'm so sorry. I messed up and I wish I hadn't done that. And so we continuously need to be aware of where our fruit. And this is why when it talks about the fruit of the tree, there's times where it's like we prune, with the analogy, you prune back, where there are leaves, there are branches that are overgrown, or maybe where there's dead branches. That's painful. It's painful to have the pruning process. And that's akin to the concepts of discipline, where, man, when we are, and we were talking about boundaries the other day, when we are stepping on a line, when we're actually not being faithful to our word, when we're not walking in alignment with who we want to be, we actually need to self-impose pruning and self-impose discipline, self-impose boundaries to keep us safe so that we can love better. So boundaries aren't just for other people, they're actually for us, to keep us kind of on that straight and narrow, to keep us in the peace and presence of God. Because from that place, man, can we love so, so, so well. I'm just going to take a quick moment and jump into the chat. Amu, good morning. Ring. Oh my gosh. We can talk about that in just a minute because that's kind of a big deal. The great one, good morning. Exposed Fun. Hello. Thank you so much for joining. Poll. Thank you guys for joining this morning. Good. Is she? No, I'm holding a coffee cup. Somebody says, mine Teddy says, is she holding a glue stick? No. Just scrolling down. Thank you, Exposed Fun. Thank you for showing the cup. Anthony, hello. Poll, yes, actually, I totally would love to do that. Let me know. He says, instead of reading, can you send us the PDF? So here's the link that I read this from. Let me know if you're actually able to click it. Brian J, good morning. I'm glad to see you. It's been a little while since we saw you here. How are you doing? Sherbana, hello. Keep life simple. I love that. Hello. Nick, thank you. Thanks for joining. Steve, girl, heaven's in your head. Isn't that it's really funny. Heaven literally is within. Oh, Viking. That's a very interesting perspective. Michael, love and light. Mayu Dang. Thank you. Interesting. Steve says your destiny is synchronized to your imagination. I do actually think that to the extent we can dream is to the extent that so much of our future does actually unveil itself. Viking Lloyd, I know a lot of people who hold that stance. That's why I like just saying whether you believe in it literally or figuratively, it still holds a lot of value. Okay, so just hold on, let me scroll down. The great one, it looks like your cup runneth over. That's funny. Brian says, I'm doing good. Good. Y'all, I love this. I love today's lesson. God is the strength in which I trust. So really, it says to believe that you can do all these things. Okay, so if you're trusting in your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. And what was funny, she says, what can you predict or control? What is there in you that can be counted on? Right when I read that, immediately I thought of two men in my life. One is, well, both are close to me. I won't say who they are, just in case they listen. But close men that I respect and love. Close. Both of them have come from really broken homes where actually it was because of them in so many ways that life did go as good as it did. And so to hear that concept, what is there in you that can be counted on? I immediately thought of them and how their hackles may raise and say, no, like I actually can count on myself. But here's the thing. I want to keep reading this. What would give you the ability to be aware of all the facets of any problem and to resolve them in such a way that only good can come from it? What is there in you that gives the recognition of the right solution and the guarantee that it will be accomplished? So that's, and then it says, of yourself, you can do none of these things. To believe that you can is to put your trust where trust is unwarranted and to justify fear, anxiety, depression, anger, and sorrow. Because here's another thing. If we're putting all of our trust in ourselves, one, that puts us on such a high pedestal that we have such a far way to go, far way to fall. Like there's such a long way for us to go, and not just for ourselves, but for everybody else. What we're going to tell everybody else we can solve all their problems too, because if they have a problem that we have a little bit of connection to, well, now their problem is ours and we've got to solve it as well. So if we ever want to do life with anybody else, and I think that that actually shines a much broader light as I'm thinking about this, both of these men struggle in relationship with making other people feel seen in close relationship because they're so used to doing it on their own that they kind of shut everybody else out. So there's something around the interpersonal connection that when we engage with faith, when we engage in not just solely trusting on ourselves, we actually open ourselves up to be in community and in relationship so much more. And it allows for, this is really beautiful. It actually allows for somebody else to help us too. Isn't that sometimes where God really comes and shines through, is through the love of other people towards us. Um, so if we're committed to doing it all on our own, we're actually not just shutting God out, but also shutting out other people. Um, so I'm just jumping back here in the chat. Uh, mm, Swiss, thanks for joining later. Sachin says you should put more effort into your YouTube channel. I go live every day. I'm not trying to go famous or anything, but maybe I will put more effort in. Steve says Christ consciousness. Yes. Um, oh, the great one. You have a paralyzed viewer named Sammy. How is he doing? He joined a couple days ago. Actually, he normally joins in the morning. I was wondering if we would see him this morning. I haven't heard from him in a couple of days, but great one. Thank you so much for asking. I think of him often, and I'm going to tell him you asked because I think that that is just so meaningful. Every time he joins, it's like encouraging for me to see, and frankly, it puts things in perspective. For those of you who don't know, Sammy joined us for the first time a couple weeks ago, and he said it was the anniversary of the date from 2 years ago where he broke his neck, and has been a quadriplegic since. And honestly, there's something around that that just puts it all in perspective for all of us, of our problems and our stories. It kind of makes it feel a little bit smaller, not even smaller, but just like, oh yeah, I actually have what I need. I think each one of us actually has what we need to encounter the problems we face, so long as we are relying on an ultimate source, an ultimate strength. Yesterday, I needed a love outside of myself because I was pretty annoyed in a situation. And so yesterday's A Course in Miracles lesson was God is the love in which I forgive. And today, God is the strength in which I trust. And so it's like, okay, I'm really going to trust in that strength. And frankly, man, hopefully, Sammy, you do listen to this because this is actually a great one for you, my friend. I just know that we love you and we're so with you, and you have what you need in the ultimate source, capital S source. We can't do it alone. So y'all, thank you so much for joining today. I will be live again tonight with Michelle Coyle, and I'm super excited about this conversation. 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I will see you then. In the meantime, have a wonderful day, and don't forget, God is the